that because it went away, we've shifted now to be able to do proactive inspections, which are a lot, some of the time is dedicated to these windshield proactive inspections. I do find some value in those, in that we do have some properties that are absentee landlords, especially around the university, where I can see where those are beneficial. When the discussion took place last year, the planning director had noted that I mentioned that there's been a lot of resident complaints. I forwarded them on with the proactive being a little too proactive in some of the stable neighborhoods. And the promise, even though we didn't get the reduction in the inspector, was that we would modify our practices. I have recently gotten a lot of feedback from residents, unsolicited feedback from residents who are very offended by some of these practices, and I feel like the process has not changed. I also worry that, I looked over the list that you recycled, thank you, Mark. A lot of the things that are on that list are completed. Some of the code revisions and some of the materials that were being developed at that time have been completed. So I do believe that there is a little bit of flexibility in the timing, and we could cut back on paying for proactive window inspections. And so that is something that I'm offering up on behalf of the residents that I have heard from, and I don't expect that, you know, maybe I'm hoping for a little bit of discussion.
Some residents?
Well, before.
Okay, residents.
I'm uncomfortable going down and or eliminating even a portion of that position right now. I'm especially uncomfortable doing it, bringing a new village manager in until the new village manager has time to look at this. I believe that the code compliance has been, I just worry about the fact that we've got a village with very aging housing stock, and we've got to find a way to, you know, do things to address that in the future too. And I think that having some semblance of this position, addressing that is very important to the village too. I would be in favor of keeping the position in there as is.
I agree that we need to have some semblance of a code compliance, but I think a half-time is more than adequate to do what needs to be done in terms of rental housing and areas where we have serious issues with code compliance, which really is a limited area of the village. You know, I also, the more I've paid attention and learned about this issue, there are properties that have been cited and cited and cited and cited for decades, and they never do anything. The owners never do anything, and maybe in a few very limited cases, the village is actually takes some legal action or something to address. But you know, I really wonder at how effective this program is, because we have properties in my neighborhood throughout the village. I know of one on Lake Drive, and I know of one just around the corner from me, where I'm sure they get cited all the time for everything from their physical issues with their to how tall their grass is, and nothing ever changes. So, you know, with the real problem properties, I don't see that this program is really accomplishing very much. And I agree that there is a need for it. I think a half-time position more than addresses that need. I also got to say, you know, this idea that the housing stock is going to, you know, go down, down, down if we don't have village code compliance. At the same time, assessments are going up, up, up. So I'm kind of having a hard time reconciling how values can be going up if our housing stock is in such danger of decline. And I also want to say, you know, it's important for us in Shorewood to sometimes raise our head and look around at other places. And when I started looking at municipalities that I consider comparable to Shorewood, either in terms of being a North Shore suburb or their population, I couldn't find anywhere and at the level of staffing devoted to planning and building inspection that we do. I mean, nowhere near. And I do think it's important, you know, we're all trying to balance how much we're charging, how much we're levying in taxes versus our services. But I do think it's important to look at, you know, our level of service in line with what Whitefish Bay and other comparable suburbs are doing. And in this case, we really are not. And I don't expect that we will agree to do anything about this year, but I do hope that we take a look at that in a little more detail next year as to, you know, how much we're devoting to this function and what they're really accomplishing. And, you know, just looking at the program in a more general way.
Steve, just say your name.
I'm Susan Jans. I've been through a lot of these discussions, as some of you may know. This has been years' worth of talking about. And through all of the more recent discussions, a point that's striking to me is that we have two positions as a building inspection, and one is code compliance. But they're all mashed in here in this discussion instead of being separate. And the talk is getting rid of the code compliance, but a lot of the issues also involve the building inspection. And they're two separate functions, two separate sets of responsibilities, and I just want to be clear that I think that they should be separated and not confused into one big mishmash. And I live in that district that has benefited greatly from that code compliance officer over the years. And I'm all for it. Thank you.
Patty McCauley. I also live in that southeastern district, and I would like to add that it's probably been 10 years or so that we have been working with village trustees, and it's taken 10 years to get my block that is 30% absentee landlord up to a reasonable level, those properties. So to think, I would say one of the reasons property values are going up is because of the code compliance inspector. I'd also like to say, I've lived on this block for 40 years. I've seen family-owned duplexes go to absentee landlords, the property decline, families moving out, and students moving in. Now that they are improving, we see families coming back in to the rental properties. We want our families for our school system. Also, for 40 years, my taxes have paid for alley maintenance and alley repair. I've never driven down an alley, and I've never issued a complaint about my tax money going to those houses, because if those properties are kept up and their roads are kept up and their alleys are kept up, it helps the image of the entire village.
I'm also in that quadrant, but I think it's a broader issue.
State your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carol Wanarowitz. I'm on Farwell. These issues are, in my opinion, village-wide. I think Trustee mentioned that you've seen properties, you don't think anything's happening. I think you should call it in, because we see that there have been improvements in those kinds of properties. But it's not just duplexes. Absentee landlords are a problem. We have over half of our properties are rentals in this community. 24% are duplexes. In comparisons to, say, Glendale, where they're, 3% or something like that? Duplexes really doesn't wash for me. We have houses, I'm getting older in my house, but my house is going to be 100 years old. And our quadrant is the oldest part of the village. But elsewhere, it's single-family homes too. We have deferred maintenance that tips into no maintenance. There's a house on our block that has never had really any maintenance done, and they moved in before I did. We moved in 1979. And so you can look at that and say, well, We hope they'll be doing something, but you want to be in touch about that cracked foundation or things that are really, there are safety issues. I've had 2 tenants come to me from across the alley on Maryland who actually, while sitting having a meal, this was 6 years apart on the same porch, fell through 5 feet and didn't break their legs. I mean, there's safety issues here for this. So there's a complaint response aspect to it as well. It's based on safety, not just aesthetics. But I think that sounds like a large amount of money on our budget here. And I'm not privy to all the machinations of the budget here, but spread over the village and the value of the properties, I can say we have a duplex, and we bought the duplex next door. There was just a plumbing electrical issue, and that's for our building inspectors, but when we went to buy it, they said it's an illegal apartment, and so I think it's important to check if people have permits, and this gentleman does do backup on that sort of checkup. When he drives around doing windshield work, apparently, I understand, there's a computer in the car, and you can look right into the system to see if someone pulled a permit, if there's a plumber's truck out there, and people don't. And what we heard back then was we're lucky that the children who lived upstairs in that illegal apartment with no access, and they could have been electrocuted in the shower. I mean, so there are safety issues around this whole department, but the code compliance person, I well remember what it was like, and I think they are responsive, I think they do their job. And they respond to complaints, but they also are proactive. And I think this memo still applies from last year.
Any other comments? I guess I also agree that when we do have a new village manager coming in, we also are going to have a planning director that's going to need some time to get up to speed, understand all the activities within the department, and put out plans moving forward. So I'm comfortable with keeping the position as is this year, and during the year as the planning director gets in and gets oriented, I'm sure that we'll be reviewing their work at the planning, the activities of the planning department.
Hand over here.
How many, do you have just one code
What's your name?
compliant down at Powell, 4285? Do you just have one code compliance officer?
That's correct.
And so, I know personally, I know that several of my neighbors have complained about this code compliance officer, and that, for example, one of my neighbors had a clogged drain, and a picture was taken with the truck. The compliance officer sent them a letter, and they, I believe, the plumbing contractor and something for the village, saying that they hadn't pulled a permit. Well, you don't have to pull a permit to do a clogged drain. So there are people that feel that this compliance officer has nothing to do and is driving around looking for issues that maybe aren't there. So I think there's other people that feel that there's a lot of intimidation going on. But another person that I know is that electrical contractor who lives on Wilson Drive and parked his truck to have lunch. And a picture was taken of his truck. He got sent a note stating that he didn't pull a permit, he was doing work on that particular building. And that, that he didn't pull a permit. I just, I think that to me looks like somebody looking for so many problems that aren't happening. It's like there's not enough for this person to do. So while I think it is important that we have a compliance officer, I don't know if we need one full-time. That's all.
For clarification, that is not the property maintenance code officer. He may see something, and if he does, he calls the building inspector, but it's the 2 building inspectors who are also cross-trained and certified in electric and plumbing, and they're the ones that are on the watch for unlicensed work, uncommitted work going on in the village. They have occasionally sent out a note to the wrong resident. We had a long discussion about that today. Be careful about sending out these notes, asking if there's work going on. They're going to try to do more phone calling now to validate before they send out the letter. But that's the other side of code enforcement. That's the technical building code piece, not the property maintenance code. This is property maintenance code is where they're looking for deteriorated exterior buildings, trash in the yards, high weeds, junk cars parked, inoperable cars, all the stuff that relate to property maintenance. And I know they're busy. We're in the middle now of a civil lawsuit we filed because we have a property owner that has not responded to requests or notices and court citations. So they're filing a civil action in the circuit court against that property owner to get that house repaired or get something done with it. So I do know that they're active, but I just didn't want you to mix apples and oranges. So that's what this lady was referring to over here. There's 3 inspectors in the planning and development department. Only one deals with property maintenance code enforcement. The other 2 are technical inspectors, and they do all the inspection on new construction, building remodels, or major maintenance projects that require a plumbing or a permit to be pulled.
Well, I don't know, I mean, I've seen this particular individual driving around, and I've seen him taking pictures, so I'm assuming that is the compliance officer.
That's not what he does. I mean, I won't tell you that he hasn't done that occasionally if he saw a vehicle out there in his rounds, but that's not his job. And most of those issues, I know for a fact, because I dealt with them on it, came from the building inspectors. They were out and saw a truck or something, took a photograph, and they followed up on it.
Trustee
I just wanted to say, after the community survey came out, you